Hello kiddies, welcome to the very first Techspert Weekly of 2026, and you might be able to tell, but your Uncle Spurt has said massive danglies to all that dry January shenanigans, unless dry sherries happen to count. So cheers! Here's wishing you a very happy new year, although I'm kind of apprehensive about 2026, wondering if this is the year I'm finally replaced by AI. Because let's face it, someone just needs to type into Sora, create a saggy-faced bellend who reads rumour pieces off of Tech Radar, occasionally stopping to argue with a crusty sock, and that's me bang out of a job. Then I'm back next to your mum, selling my body for a few shillings a pop down on the Sunderland docks. That is assuming that I haven't completely crumbled to bits by then. After all, just yesterday I managed to completely f up my wrist by peeling a carrot. And sadly, no, that's not a euphemism. Anyway, enough of this bollocks, let's do a jingle and crack on. Techspert Weekly! So right at the arse end of 2025, I had a proper old jizz fest all over OPPO's Find X9 Pro flagship. If real life was an anime, then your Uncle Spurt's nose would have gushed more than enough blood to fill a vampire's jacuzzi. And so it's with bated breath and sticky palms that I eagerly await the OPPO Find X9 Ultra, an even lovelier and shinier 6.8-inch smartphone that should be launching over in China in the next couple of months. And then fingers crossed globally, and not too long after that. The focus for this Ultra model unsurprisingly appears to be the camera tech, an area where you have to wonder, how can OPPO actually improve on that Pro version, which was already an absolute bloody banger? Well, OPPO's answer appears to be slap a pair of 200 meg shooters on it. The main camera will apparently use Sony's fresh Lightyear 901 sensor, a massive 1/1.12 inch bugger that should prove excellent for night photography. That's right, even better than the Pro, which shut out some proper stunners like this. Now the OPPO Find X9 Ultra should be the very first smartphone to come packing that 901 sensor, and as soon as I get my mitts on it, I'll be sure to thoroughly test out that camera tech Uncle Spurt style by snapping blurry pics of booze I'm about to hoy down my throat in poorly lit grotty pubs. And the Find X9 Ultra will also apparently serve up a second 200 meg sensor for the telephoto shooter, this time the OmniVision OV52A. Another whopper that should mean great low light results when you zoom right in, again even better than these photos taken with the Pro model. And that'll be backed by a second telephoto shooter, this time a periscope lens effort with a 50 megapixel sensor offering almost 5 times optical zoom. Now, while OPPO went with MediaTek's flagship Dimensity 9500 chipset for the Find X9 Pro, rumours reckon it'll be Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 running the show in this here Ultra model, boasting even more grunt than before. That's particularly good news for fans of poorly optimised, oversized open-world extravaganzas like Wuthering and Waves. And besides all of that, don't expect too many other changes for the Ultra model compared with the old Find X9 Pro. So for instance, the Ultra's battery capacity is rumoured to be around the 7000 mAh mark, slightly smaller than the Pro's in fact, but with the same 80 watt wired and 50 watt wireless charging support. You can also expect a similar OLED display, as well as the same lovely ColorOS experience, stuffed to the dangly bits with loads of obligatory AI tossbaggery. Now, the OPPO Find X9 Ultra sounds lovely and all, but let's not forget that last year's Find X8 Ultra was also similarly lovely, and OPPO never actually bothered to release that thing outside of bloody China. In fact, between that and the sodden Find N5, OPPO absolutely deserves the award for biggest cock tease of 2025. However, recent web whisperings reckon that the Find X9 Ultra will be the first Ultra to actually launch outside of China, hopefully here in Blighty as well. I'll certainly be crossing my fingers that it is so, at least I would be if I hadn't completely f***ed my wrist. Sodding carrots. Just stick to sausage rolls in the future, no need to peel those bastards. Anyway, let us know what you reckon of the OPPO Find X9 Ultra down in the comments below. Are you excited as I am? And now, while I enjoy my tasty cold beverage, I've got something else for you to have a look at. Uncle Spurt reacts to stuff, and some of it makes him glum. Some makes him happy, some makes him mad, and some of it is your mum. Now, every January, Las Vegas finds itself swamped with creatures even more sad and desperate than the usual gambling boozing lot. I'm talking about tech journalists and YouTube twats just like myself, flooding there for the big nerdy CES Expo. This week we've seen big launches from Nvidia, Motorola and Intel, and it was some seriously rock and roll shit.
This announcement will representing the next evolution of the PC.
However, as usual, most of the launches at CES 2026 are either complete tat or utter bollocks. Take for instance Razer's Project Madison, a concept gaming chair which looks like something Goldfinger would strap James Bond into in an ill-fated attempt to cinch his nuts off. If it actually existed, the Project Madison would feature chroma light strips, THX spatial audio and several haptic motor actuators to, and I quote, bring the physical sensations of a game to life. Of course, if they really wanted to make you feel like you were in the game, they'd have to install some sort of hairy beanbag contraption, which slaps you right in the face every time your battered corpse enjoys a tragic bit of teabagging. 1 second. And talking about physical sensations, are you one of those cavemen who actually still wanks off manually? Well, Fred, get in the 21st century already with this here handy too. Strap this massive Bluetooth speaker looking thing to the old John Thomas and it can rub you up very much the right way. Although on top speeds I would be slightly worried about singeing the old shaft. You can control it via your smartphone or even sync it up to VR videos, while the Pro model upgrades the battery life from 1 hour to 5. 5 ruddy hours! There'd be absolutely nothing left but a smoking stump. And frankly 5 seconds would probably do the job. And that quite nicely sums up the wonderful world of CES. Full of wankers. And now it's time to crack out the Vaseline and the rubber gloves, because here comes the very first viewer comments of 2026. Viewer comments.
We're going to have a little Q&A.
So the last episode was the Christmas special, which is kind of nuts. It feels like that was only yesterday. Mostly because I just spent the last 2 weeks in a whiskey-induced coma. So let's kick off 2026 with Mike B. Reads Mike, who says, the British Bad Santa. An apt comparison, because I'm pretty sure that midway through that last episode I did actually piss myself. Cedar Stuff says, to be honest, I can't believe you've made it to the festive period again. Truly a Christmas miracle. Does that make me Jesus 2.0 then? Probably not. I don't think Jesus would ever smell quite so strongly of beer and pork scratchings. John Google user says Manic Miner was literally the hardest game of all time, completing all of the levels with just 3 lives. That's right, and I don't think there was any way of getting any extra lives, right? As far as I can remember, which admittedly, that's not very far. I do remember, it took me so many goes to finally finish it. I think I finally did it on like my 500th attempt or something, and I was so excited. I was expecting some sort of rapturous animation. You know, Miner Willie crawling his way desperately out of the dirt, raising his bloodied fist to the sky and screaming in anguish at whatever merciless god cast him down into that pit full of deadly telephones and toilets and whatever the else there was. 8-bit style-y, of course, but I think all that actually happened was it just went to a blank screen and then just restarted the game from the beginning again. Sakes. I have to say though, my own personal pick for hardest game of all time is probably Battletoads on the Game Boy, because I remember I played that thing for months and months and I never made it to the end. I even had an invulnerability cheat which I got out the back of a magazine at one point, and even with that active I still couldn't complete it because I'd get to the jetpack level, which was one of the last ones, and I'd just run out of time and the game would freeze. But that'd be an interesting one to hear from anyone else as well. What was your pick of the hardest frigging game of all time? Something that made you absolutely go batshit mental with despair. And Trollhammer says, I remember getting a Game Gear from me nan. Oh, great stuff. I did have a mate who got a Game Gear for Christmas one year as well. We used to play the shit out of Smash TV on it, or at least we'd play the shit out of it for like 18 minutes until all of the batteries were sucked dry. Just remember, every time he went away on holiday, if he actually took it with him, he'd have to take an extra suitcase just full of bloody batteries. Midmab says, the ZX Spectrum and the Commodore 64 were great. Fond memories of Frogger and Commando Libya. But from 1985 onwards, the Amiga was the big dream machine, the graphics and sound way ahead of PCs. Of course, Amiga geeks hated all PCs and of course all Atari ST comrades. I remember when a mate got a 386 PC and got a hold of Wing Commander. He wanted to show it off to everyone, but it took several hours to install. Yeah, I used to have a 386 as well. That was my very first PC. Came with a monolithic 4 megabytes of RAM, and yes, I have vivid memories of installing massive great games on that thing on floppy disks. Floppy. I remember some games came with about 15 of the bastards, and of course you'd get to about disk 13 of 15 after several hours of installation action, and then it would be a corrupt sector error or something, and the whole lot would fail. You'd try again, same thing, so you'd have to pack everything back into the box and take it back to bastard W8 Smiths and get a refund. Either that or the installation would be fine, but when you come to actually play the bloody thing, there'd be some sort of Sound Blaster compatibility issue. I'll tell you what, it was thanks to shit like that quite a few of my keyboards ended up reduced into fragments so small you could accidentally inhale them. Ligaman1 says, interesting how old snares, ZX Spectrum, etc. is still working after all this time, almost like things were made better back in the day. Yeah, my old Spectrum is still up in my parents' attic, and I bet you if I was to go up there today and find it and scrape off the worst of the muck and the cobwebs and actually find a CRT to plug it into, it'd still be working absolutely perfectly if I was that desperate to play Odd Job Eddie again. And Mythic Sun says, speaking of old school gaming, I managed to get Elite installed on my Steam Deck. Now that proper is old school, yeah. My crappy attention span will need to f*** off so I can properly read the manual and then actually play the game. Unfortunately, I absolutely do not have the time or the energy for proper open world games like Elite anymore. If I'm lucky, I've got about 12 spare minutes at the end of every day before I stagger into bed and collapse unconscious. And at least half of those 12 minutes I usually have to dedicate to emptying my bladder. I think I may have mentioned it before, but getting old really is bollocks. A Load of Skulls 420 says, when's the Techspert gaming channel? I mean, apart from the not having any time factor, I absolutely suck at games these days. So me starting up a channel dedicated to gaming would be kind of like a wild raccoon starting up a channel dedicated to fine dining. You'd probably just end up shitting in the lobster soup and then leaping on the sous chef in a kind of frenzied terror, which is pretty much my reaction to fine dining too. Tom Bradley with a heartwarming story here. He says, amazing. A couple of years ago, I wanted to buy a watch for my daughter to learn the time, and I wanted what I had as a kid, but I couldn't find it anywhere. And then at 5 minutes 58 in your video, it's in the bottom right corner of that Argos catalogue. Lovely stuff. Hope you managed to track down one in the real world these days. And yeah, like something else that caught my eye in that Argos catalogue, I couldn't help but be tickled by that New Kids on the Block watch, apparently officially approved by the New Kids themselves. Good old Donnie and Jeff and Little More and all the others. But I a snip at just 15 of your British puns. And also I was a really big Count Duckula fan back in the day, but even I wasn't swayed by the cheap £5 Duckula watch in there. Kinda looks like he's been drawn by a drunk toddler and then smacked in the face with a cricket bat. Blake Xenos 666 says, one of the things I wanted to get for Christmas was a large portrait of Ted Bundy. Each to their own, no questions asked. That is very much the Techspert policy. The Nez Rookie says, I've got notifications on and YouTube straight up did not notify me, almost missed it. Yeah, but a few other people complaining about this as well. I don't know what the ruddy heck is going on with YouTube, but all I can suggest is basically come check out the Techspert YouTube channel every single day just in case I post new content. That way you won't miss a thing. Phil D33 says, checking company's house for your actual age as the Spectrum references meant you were 0 years old when it was released. Yes, I didn't actually get it when it was first released. It was a few years later, and then it was still going strong even in the early 90s when I finally got my Game Boy, and I happened to stumble across your middle name, Happy Christmas Ernest. Curse you, company's house! Yeah, I actually got quite a surprising amount of grief for my middle name when I was a sprog for some reason. Well, actually, it wasn't for some reason. It was because of those bloody Jim Varney comedies from back in the day where, of course, he plays an absolutely bumbling f***wit called Ernest. There were quite a few of them as well, I seem to recall. I remember Ernest Saves Christmas and Ernest Goes to Jail, but I'm assuming there were probably about 10 or 12 or something. Well, easy way to find out. How many Jim Varney Ernest movies were there? This is great use for all that AI power.
There were 9 feature-length films in the main Ernest canon starring Jim Varney. 1. Ernest Goes to Camp, 1987. 7. Slam Dunk Ernest, 1995. 8. Ernest Goes to Africa.
Ernest Goes to Africa. Oh, I bet that one hasn't aged particularly well. And last up for this week, GH221177 says, Robocop, I was 12 when it came out and I managed to sneak into the cinema for it. That is a bloody good effort. I too saw Robocop at a far too young and tender age, but I just caught it when it came out on VHS. There's no way I would have been able to sneak into a cinema. I think I was like 7 when that one came out. But I was quite happy watching it on VHS because it meant when all the scary stuff happened, like when Murphy got all of his limbs shot off, I could just run off and hide underneath the kitchen table. And I'm not even exaggerating, I actually did that as well and kept on doing it until I was 35. Anyway, I think that nicely concludes viewer comments, first one of 2026. So a massive thanks to everyone who actually watched my Christmas special shenanigans, and doubly so if you actually smashed a little comment down below as well. Please do tappity-tap down below again, and we'll get through as many of those as possible next week. And speaking of next week, what the f*** is next week? Well, CES has drawn to a halt. I managed to spaff out a few bits of content this week on it, including 2 Poco smartphones came out, and not content with launching those 2 Pocos, Xiaomi has got another launch next week, but it's not more smartphones, it's not tablets or anything, it's something a bit more outlandish. That's happening on Thursday, so come back and check out whatever content I managed to out for that one. Also got a few other bits lined up, including hopefully, finally, my in-depth review of Google's Pixel 10 Pro XL, which I've been kind of struggling with for these past few months. Very conflicted over it, I've got to say. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech. And have yourselves an absolutely ruddy, wonderful weekend. Cheers, everybody. Love you.